Hello, and welcome to What in the Mystical How podcast. I'm your host, Nikki Jobin, and this is my lovely co-host.
Hi, this is Lauren Aviance. Welcome.
Welcome to the show. Tonight, as the first night of October, we are going to be talking about Witchtober, and we're going to go into some of our daily practices, daily rituals, common practices that we do, and then we're going to dive a little bit deeper into some things that we do for the days coming up into Samhain and when our veil is the thinnest in the year. But before we do that, how you doing, Lauren?
I'm good. I have been otherwise preoccupied with 100 different things in life like everybody else, but I'm still here to do this and represent as a practitioner and servant of the great gods beyond.
Wow, you sound like she didn't make that up at the spur of the moment. Really? It really that was very polished. I like that. Now I'm like, shit, I don't have a cool intro. What have I been doing the last month? I've been, a little this and that, little kids, little witchy, little party planning. We have an event later this month for Golden Apple Metaphysical, which is my shop. And I'll go into that a little bit more later. But I'm really excited to dig deeper into this topic where we're talking about our daily practices and what we do day to day. I've already talked a few times about, I don't necessarily have daily rituals as in big, elaborate things. I have simple things that I do every day to like welcome the day and get myself started. But I'm going to start with you. I'm going to put you on the spot first.
Oh, okay.
Tell me about some of your daily practices.
Well, as I get up in the morning, I generally take stock of kind of where I want to be, where I want to go with my day. Nothing is guaranteed, so it's best to try and hit the ground running with a positive plan. And that's something that's important to me, especially now in my life.
I really put her on the spot there.
I will start with just some self-affirmation, and not in that cheesy, I am good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me kind of way.
Well, that's good because I had all kinds of stuff to say there. But I do like you.
But things about, stepping forward, having a good day, making sure that I am impactful, reminding myself that I'm a positive impact on others as opposed to a negative impact. That's important to me. The world is full already of so many negative things that I just want to bring less of that. I don't necessarily need to bring, Miss Mary Sunshine every day, but I don't want to bring the wet rag, the suffocation, and the people have enough to deal with in the world without me adding to their stress and their strife. And that it manifests itself. Sometimes I will burn incense, not necessarily in the morning, but at some point during the day as a message to the great beyond, the ancestors, Mother Earth, Father Sky. And that helps to center me and it helps to send my message. So there's constantly incense burning just because it's the practice of burning something, and in its actuality it ends up going up to the spirits, the sky and the stars, and it's an old way of communicating that I think still connects me directly to my higher power.
I like that. It's very mindful. My morning ritual, as we'll call it, is completely the opposite. I basically drink that cup of coffee like it's my life's blood and pray that I don't kill anything. Well, you can. I mean, if you look at coffee, there's definitely the energies of coffee, right? It's there to the oh, my brain's not working here. When you're drinking the coffee, the beans themselves, they're grounding, right? But they also have that energy to kind of perk you up and lift you up. But really, I'm not thinking about any of that when I'm having that first cup of coffee, which really is my way of getting started. There are days like today when I literally had 1 hour of sleep before I had to get up.
Right.
So that coffee is an absolute necessity just so I can function. If I don't do drugs, I never have. But if there were a drug that I would do, or that I do, it is it's caffeine.
Yeah.
I don't function well without it. As we're sitting here talking about this, I'm drinking a giant Red Bull. But on the days when I do have the time to just sit down with my coffee and set intention for the day, a very important part of that is just having that cup and taking that moment.
Yeah, that's something that I actually see the results of. In the time that I've known you. I definitely see that there's been marked change in how you approach each day, so it works.
Yeah. It's very much the difference between me being a person as opposed to a raging bitch. I wouldn't say I'm that bad. I have days that I start without coffee, but I am excessively slap happy, and my children will question me.
Yeah.
You didn't get any sleep, did you, Mom? No. And you didn't have any coffee? No. This is going to be a fun ride to school. Just to put it into perspective, our, my morning commute with the kids to school is about an hour and a half. I leave before 8 a.m., maybe about 7:30, and I don't get home sometimes till 9:30, depending on traffic. So oftentimes the amount of caffeine in my system has a direct correlation to how many swear words I'm going to use on the trip. Then during the day, I don't know that I have a lot of, I mean, I don't like to use the word ritual for the practices that I do.
Sure.
Because I have in my brain, a very set idea of what ritual practices are.
Right. Right. Well, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I don't think of them as ritual in the same way. I think I'm using the word now because we're discussing it.
Yeah.
But it's more of I'll get to a point where I'll go, oh, I forgot to do this, or I'm remembering to do this. Mm-hmm. And it's just something that happens in the day. I don't, stomp on the brakes, stop the whole ride, and start burning incense on the ground and saying incantations or anything like that.
That would be awesome if you did that. Could I watch?
That would definitely get me a lot of attention. But it's the mindfulness of the moment, I speak to the higher powers, the powers that be, in a very real way, in a very tangible way. Mm-hmm. And that will happen sporadically through the day.
Yeah.
So I apologize for interrupting.
Oh, no apologies necessary. I will say that it's not a daily thing that I do, but I do have, on quite a frequent basis, we have deities around the house. So we have little, I wouldn't say that they're altars, but little shrines where I do burn specific candles. And when I make those candles, I inscribe them with the proper symbols for each deity. I have offerings that I will give them as I burn these candles, and I get the bigger. They look like the 7-day candles, but they're the bigger glass enclosed candles, like the Noveno candles that I will burn. That will burn for them for a few days. Mm-hmm. And so that's something I might not even do that every week, but then there are days that I definitely feel called to do that. Other things, I think if I have any ritual, if I could call it such, ritual that I do on a more common basis, it's really a spell that I have to make traffic flow better. Because I am pretty much driving in traffic every single day.
Yeah.
And then when I'm particularly stressed out, I have it's kind of an affirmation that I have when I'm in the shower and when I'm taking that moment to kind of release a lot of the stress and release a lot of the frustrations that I have built up. So I have a little affirmation that I will do there. But again, it's not a necessarily common occurrence or a routine occurrence. Maybe common's not the right word. A routine occurrence. So there's not a set like time and place that I do it. But I like that you have yours that you kind of do every day, where it's a very similar practice every single day to how you start the day.
Yes.
And then you kind of close your day with things as well, right?
Yes. It's usually reflection of the day. And did I do anything, impact anybody in a way that isn't positive? Generally, I try to do that as I go along, so don't have amends to make at the end of my day, but check in on myself. Mm-hmm. Kind of do a rose and thorn of my day, and gives me a good basis to kind of ease out the rest of my day, and I don't have to worry about anything if I've already done that inventory for myself.
That's pretty awesome, actually. I don't know that I always reflect. I might think back on my day. Maybe the closest thing I come to reflecting about my day actually happens the next day. Mm-hmm. You know, I when I come home from dropping off the kids, my oldest daughter and I will generally talk about the night before. If one of us has worked, it'll be like, "Oh, hey, how was work?" And we kind of do that recap. Mm-hmm. But I don't know that I think about my impact. That's actually a really good thing to think about. But then I come to the quandary of, this is my impact of the day. How much do I care? And that's just, because I'm quite often sometimes a horrible person, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm no saint.
Yeah.
I'm no saint. I don't always care either. And when I don't care, it's with good reason.
Yeah.
It's not like I ran over someone's puppy and don't care.
But yeah, I care about the puppy. I mean,
well, I care about the person who lost their puppy.
Is it a person I like?
Well, and that.
But see, then I wouldn't run over the puppy. Would I run over the person? Because my son will tell you, I have my window rolled down, and sometimes I tell people that I really thought about running them over as they were jaywalking or crossing against the light when I was already in the intersection. I will let them know that I thought of them as a speed bump. I have no problem doing that. Do you have any other like daily or weekly kind of routine practices that you do?
Well, in my faith practice, we do things like a vision quest or a spirit guide quest. But one that I've been itching to do is one that I've kind of unearthed outside of my typical practices, and that is it's a type of sage, or in my case sweetgrass burning, that you wrap your hair in and you burn it, and the intent is to take your wishes, your desires up to the God, up to your great spirit. And I haven't gotten a full picture of what it entails yet, but I'm very curious because I like the idea. There's traditions in other aspects of my faith where hair is to be collected and not made accessible to people who would do you harm.
Yeah. I follow that. I subscribe to that as well. Yeah.
Well, you'd have to have people who want to do you harm for that to be even halfway effective.
Girl, I just did an uncrossing on myself this week. The worst part is I don't even think it's practitioners that I personally have done wrong to or perceived wrongdoing to. I think that I'm just sometimes collateral damage. But I did have to do a nice uncrossing last week. So yeah, I think about my fingernails. I think about my hair. Mm-hmm. I think if I could think about skin cells, I don't think I really shed that. I mean, I don't visibly shed skin cells, but I'm like, did I lick my finger and touch anything? I don't know. I don't think about carbon footprint, but I think about my DNA footprint that I leave places.
And I think that personally, I think that's too much to ask, especially in today's world, to be able to keep track of it. First of all, the concept that you're keeping your hair in your purse or in a bag or in your pocket is just a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of collecting of bits of you. And you're not going to get all of it. And somebody who's determined will get it.
Yeah.
They're not going to not get it. They'll figure it out. There was a side note. There was a serial killer who literally would take women's hair on the bus. And that was his thing.
Wait, while they were still living before he...
Yes.
Like, was that when he was, like...
Hunting them.
Hunting? Okay.
Yeah.
God, I feel like I know who this is.
It was in England. And,
okay. No, then no.
But it's an example of if you're determined enough, you'll get it. So he would target them on the bus and then he would follow them home and then he would...
See, this is why I don't take the bus.
Well, this is why I'm careful about my hair when I'm on the bus.
Yeah. Right.
But so somebody who's determined will get it done.
Yeah.
And so collecting your hair just means you've got a bunch of your hair stuck in your bag. But in other practices that I do, there's this whole ritual that is literally about your hair. And the concept to me that I take away from it is that your hair goes out of your head. So it's like an extension of your thoughts and your desires. And so by burning the hair and sending it up to the Great Spirit, you are sending them your desires and your wishes and your dreams.
See, I wasted a lot of that, man. I burn hair just because, because I figure if it's burnt up, they can't use it. But, man, I could have been sending wishes up to the gods.
See?
So, yeah, I got to think about that.
I think of it, when I let it go, I let it go so that birds can put it in their nests.
Okay, we all know how I feel about birds. But I have had birds try to pluck out my hair for their nests. It is not fun. But when I was at Convocation in February, I had one of the presenters. We were we were having a private conversation at a couple points, but at one point, they had asked me if I ever did any magic with my hair. Maybe that wasn't in. I don't remember if that was in February or if that was in March when we met again in another event. But I just thought that was, really interesting, and the practices of, how when we take thread or ribbon or twine and we braid things or we knot them for spell work, like if you could braid spells into your hair, like when you're doing your hairstyles, because you see people that have they have intricate hairstyles. What if you were weaving magic into that, weaving spells into that?
They do that into clothing.
Yeah. Well, I can, wouldn't it be like the next natural extension maybe to like weave those things into your hairdo? Mm-hmm. That would be kind of a cool thing. And I don't know if conversely is the right word, but conversely, how people put like rhinestones and stuff in their hair. Yeah. If you got crystals that would just help amplify that intention, that'd be a kind of cool thing.
I bet there's someone doing it right now.
That would be kind of fun. I'd be down to learn that.
Yeah.
But going back to when you were talking about when you were talking about like sending your messages up to the gods and practices in that, it made me kind of think about what we're going to move into for our next segment, which is it made me think about the veil thinning and some of the practices that we have at this time of year, because now we've passed the autumn equinox and the nights are growing longer, so we're getting into that dark period of the world up here in the northern hemisphere, and now we have that time when the veil is thinning. So now we have not only our normal stuff that we have to deal with, but we have visitors that'll come to us. We were talking about that earlier in the kitchen.
Yeah.
That we're like, oh, I don't really have any time right now. I'm kind of roaming around, but just chill out here in the house, and I'll come and deal with you when I have a moment.
Right.
So what are some of the things that you do at this time of year that might be different from your everyday practices?
I stay in more of a state of openness, or at least I try to, because I can feel things coming at me a little more than normal. It's the thinning of the veil. It's when the earth is almost compressed and the sky is touching it and on it, and the darkness lays on where I come from, it would lay on the snow, and moonlight would reflect off of it, and it was like a different type of day. But definitely the idea that things are a little spookier, a little scarier, that's common in a lot of different practices, and certainly in mine. And things that I do differently, I don't know that I specifically do anything differently other than I do a little more ancestor work now. And I definitely do some harvests, all I'm seeing in my head is golds and reds and soft browns and things that kind of reflect those colors back into the world. Dark plums. I'm excited for this is my favorite part of the year.
Yeah. Definitely as the nights get longer, I feel like I'm a little bit more of myself.
Likewise.
The when the days are so long, it's so draining on me.
Yeah.
But I feel it's so funny, like when I'm coming home late at night, and if it's been a particularly late night and like I can feel the dawn coming, I feel like I'm more in a rush to get like inside the house. I'm like, it's the dawn is coming. Like I should already be asleep. Like I have to get home so that I can be in my bed when the dawn comes. I don't know how vampiric that makes me sound, but but it's more of a like during the winter and during the fall months when the nights are longer, I am more awake at night.
Yeah.
So I feel a little bit more energetic. Around the house, I do a little bit of a thicker warding in general. And I tend to try and ward things more where, it would be point of contact for spirits. Like when I do my general warding around the house anyway, I ward not only this plane, but I ward the astral plane. And I ward things like mirrors and windows. So I use like a holy oil to do that, and sigils specifically for that house protection purpose. But I also, my kids know that any of my divination or spirit work tools, that those are like hands off. If they want to learn about them, I'm more than willing to teach them, but it's like, hey, don't play with the spirit board. Don't look in the scrying mirror and play with that unless you are very prepared for what you might see. Even, I have a crystal ball, and I'm like, don't play with that one. It always lives in its little box unless it's in use. And I don't, obviously during the day, I don't leave it laying out because that could just cause fire if the sunlight hits it in the wrong way. But I even have, it's like a little pocket watch that's a scrying mirror where, I tell them don't don't look in these things or play with these things unless you're ready to deal with what you see. But all of those things are inscribed with sigils to just keep them from being a tool for things other than the people that live in this home. And as the veil gets thinner, I had I know I told this story before. I had one year where I was like, you know what? I want to be more open. I want to I want to see the things that I don't normally see, and I have regretted that. So I tend to keep myself a little bit tighter locked. No, there was no one standing behind you, though there may feel that there was, because we do have a presiding spirit in this house, and I believe that it may be the former owner that comes in. Liz and my friend Christine have seen a blonde woman walk on the back deck, who is not corporeally here. And they've even seen her head pass by windows where if a person were standing outside that particular window, their head would not be able to be visible through the window.
Did none of the dogs pass behind here just a minute ago? Oh.
No.
Okay.
Not even the cat. I don't know where the cat is, but
Okay.
but occasionally. I told you earlier we were talking in the kitchen, and I felt like something kept rubbing against my leg. And it's just that time of year. Things want to play. Things want to be a part of what we're doing out here. So they're just like, hey, howdy, hey. And as long as they, at least in this house, as long as they abide by the rules of hospitality and are good guests, they don't get ejected.
Well, you were talking about warding the windows, and
Yeah.
I do a warding of sorts. It's connected to Catholicism, and it's C plus B plus M plus B, and that's Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and those are the three magi from the Bible, and they were sorcerers, and it's my warding, it's my protection, but it's also my homage to great historical, mystical sages.
Nice.
And I like that crisscross over. I definitely dance within about 4 or 5 different faith practices that to round out the way that I feel about the world.
Yeah. But that's the nice thing about creating your own practice, right? I think that if you're part of a more widely recognized tradition, you have the comfort of things that have been passed down, right? Time-honored traditions that are passed down. But part of what I like about creating my own tradition is the things that speak to me and spark something in me. I can pull them in and make them part of my own. Mm-hmm. And that's what I like. I do remember, I remember quite a few things from my upbringing that my grandmother was probably one of the most Catholic people I will ever meet. She also, in her own way, was a spirit worker. Mm. She would tell me that she would, I'm gonna go pray for you, Nikki. I'm gonna go pray. Okay, Grandma. And my grandmother probably prayed about 4 or 5 times a day. Mm. And she had her little altars to San Judas. And even though she had pictures of the Virgin Mary and of Jesus, she had a crucifix there. And she prayed to God on occasion. But most of her petitions went to San Judas. And she would go to pray, and then she would come back and tell me things that would later turn out to be true. Mm-hmm. And I have a great respect for that, even though that path isn't my path. I have a respect for this path, like I do with all other, religions that aren't oppressive and just try to keep people down. Mm-hmm. Because there's beauty in these time-honored traditions.
Absolutely.
And I find the people that are truly, in their soul, this is their path, and they're genuinely good people living their lives, the best way that they believe. And I see that as a very beautiful thing. Like, it's not my path, but it is still a path, and it's a path that leads you to the next place, even though I call it by a different name. And I have a different way of traveling to get to that place. But I like that I can pull little pieces here and there to kind of work for me and weave them together. So I think, I sometimes feel incomplete saying things like hedge witch or eclectic witch or, like kitchen witch even. Excuse me. I feel like more like I'm a weaver. Like I pull things in and I kind of blend them together to create my own kind of magic. And I am oftentimes, very tired and kind of lazy. So sometimes I find the most expedient way to do that.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. That's what burning incense does, because it's a quick, easy way of accomplishing the goal.
Yeah. I've also found, there's a shop in Alameda, California called The Feathered Outlaw, and they have beautiful incenses. If you ever have an opportunity to be there and go to that shop, I absolutely recommend going to the shop. The owner, Marie, is fantastic, and everyone that I've met through there has been completely lovely. But they also have room sprays. So I just picked up a room spray that was rose and sandalwood, and if I am particularly stressed out, I can spray that and it helps me be calm. Like almost, how like you can light an incense and just having that smell, it's almost like that muscle memory, and it helps you get to that headspace that you need to be in. This room spray truly helps me do that.
It's funny, I was just thinking about roses and the smell of roses.
Yeah. I used to have, years ago from Bath and Body Works, they had a lotion that was a sandalwood rose. And it was my favorite lotion. And of course, because it was my favorite, they discontinued it. And this does not smell like that. But the combination of sandalwood and roses together, I think will always have a particular response from me. And it is just something that relaxes me. And it's almost, that place in life when you're getting a massage and you have that moment where you're just able to finally relax when they're working out that tension in you. It's almost like that. So it's kind of great the way the smell of something can trigger a response in us.
Yep.
And so I like the fact that with room sprays, you don't necessarily have to burn things, because sometimes you're in a place where you can't burn it.
Sure.
Like hotel rooms now.
Right.
Right? You can't burn candles, you can't burn incense. But if you have a room spray, you can get the same effect, which I like. I like to be able to have a multitude of tools to create the environment that I need for whatever I'm going to do. In hotel rooms, especially, like I have different wardings than I use for my house. Especially if I'm at some place, not generally, I don't generally ward if I'm like going on vacation, I'm at the Hojo, Yeah. But if I'm going to like a convention, I will ward just, not because I think necessarily there's anyone out there that wants to harm me, but just so I have a space where I can decompress and I can come and release all the energy that I've kind of picked up. I oftentimes tell people that if they work particularly emotional or they feel like very energetically charged jobs, coming home and maybe you don't have time for a ritual bath to cleanse yourself, but having some kind of salt scrub that you use in the shower and then you kind of come all over, or even the very act of stepping in the shower after work and rinsing off your day is a ritual in a sense as well.
And you can ritualize any of those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And think of them, if you are mindful with them, you can think of them as a cleansing, rebirth, things like that. I think that we cheat ourselves a lot of times by not doing that. Yeah.
Or we tell ourselves, I can't have this ritual cleansing thing because I don't have a bathtub, right? We think about the ritual bath, the cleansing bath. We always think about a bath. And you never think that you could do that in the shower.
Right.
Just as easily. When I had a bathtub at the last apartment that I lived in, I had this wonderful whirlpool tub. You know how many times I used it? Once.
Yeah.
And the entire time I lived there, I used it once. But I took showers every day.
Yeah.
And just think of all the ritual I could have done.
Yeah.
Right then and there. And it's funny that we don't think about these things, but we have so many ways to utilize the space that we're in. Which is going to move me into our next little segment here about utilizing the space that we're in. And we're going to talk about ancestor work. As we are coming up to Samhain and Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead on November 1st and 2nd, we're doing a lot more ancestor work. I think you talked about some ancestor work as well. Yeah. And with the family here, we make a little ofrenda. It's not that's not a tradition that I had, and with my grandparents growing up, it's not something that my mom did. Even though we did have, pictures of family members that had passed, we never really did anything special. But now with the kids, we make a little altar space for them. That's especially for them. For people that we don't have pictures of, we'll write their names on a piece of paper and have it on there as well. And that's something that we do at this time of year. Like I have a cabinet where I have those photos year round. But then during this time of year, we make a special place on the altar for them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, ours are a little more intricate in that there include stuff like sand paintings, burning of certain things, certain woods. The pipe ceremony in and of itself is the burning of wood or tobacco, which I do smoke cigars, and I smoke them casually all the time.
Oh, I know.
As a matter of fact, I'm hoping to go have one after this. But it's there are times when I think of this is me giving my breath to the spirit world. Mm-hmm. And the smoke carries my breath literally up into the heavens. And so there's a saying that you can't talk to God with false breath. And so that is the literal practice of blowing the smoke from the peace pipe, which I'm using that as the general colloquialism, just so that people understand what I'm talking about. But that the pipe is used, the tobacco is used to speak to God and to solidify contracts in a way. So one of the ways of doing that is to breathe in the smoke and blow it out, speaking the names of your ancestors, saying a prayer. So things like that. That's something that I can do on a regular basis, but this is that time of year where more of it happens. Doing walkthroughs, which is you follow the path of the dead, which again takes a tribe, and it takes a lot bigger space than I generally would have. But I can, in theory, walk the path, and just I there's a labyrinth in my neighborhood that I can do that in.
Nice.
And stuff like that. So
when you see smoke, magic, and tobacco in a lot of different cultures.
Yeah.
I know when we've done work with Baron Samedi, tobacco as an offering is a really good offering for you to use, and even the act of smoking the cigar.
Yeah.
While you're giving tribute and you're doing your petitions.
Yeah. When you see hoodoo and voodoo practitioners, you'll see them a lot of times have a small stick of tobacco in their mouths when they're working, because they're doing that not necessarily consciously. A lot of times it's unconsciously, but that's part of what their ritual is that they've done for years, and so it just comes along.
Yeah.
I'm not at that point, but I'm about to get some cigarillos, so I'll have my little tiny cigars.
There you go.
So I can sit out back and be weird.
Then Lauren will be a real pimp.
Just got to get my nails done.
There we go. There we go. I remember that when we did our Samhain show on my vidcast, Left Unsupervised, you talked about different pathways that you have for spirits to traverse in your apartment.
Yes. In the back of my area, I have a tendency to kind of call upon them when I do things in the backyard. I'm the weirdo in the neighborhood. I'm the bruja, the brujerita. And I will draw a circle around myself and call too. And the experience is, I don't necessarily, I don't see anything.
Yeah.
I just have a sensation that I'm in contact with something beyond me. And that's important to me.
Yeah.
I think that that's what makes us all connected all the time. And it is important for me to reach back or reach out into that darkness, almost literally, and touch the spirits of people that I've never met, don't know, and give them contact with the earth. Just as a reminder that we're, the same thing, like you and I are connected by thin threads all through humanity.
Yeah.
Every living thing. So, and that's why tobacco and tree bark is important to smoke, because it's a living thing. Unlike a vape.
Fair.
But, there's going to be rituals that require that. I think I'd love to hear in some of the commentary, if people will be so inclined to comment on this afterwards, some of the things that other people do.
Yeah, I would like to actually, hear some of that. Especially, as we get deeper into this time of year, the spirit work.
Yeah.
The actual, work with spirit. Sorry, my brain stopped mid-sentence there. But I know that there are a lot of people that do, spirit altars for their ancestors. There are people that do like kind of spirit way stations where traveling spirits can kind of have a place that they can rest. They can recharge before they continue on their journey. Because, traveling around, like maybe your family member moved.
You're just wandering around.
You're going to the last place and you're like, shit, no forwarding address. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now we have a little place where you can just sit. Maybe you have a ghostly martini. I don't know. Just, take a load off and then you pick it back up and go back on your journey and go, where are you, asshole? I don't know.
There was this, you just reminded me of a story and then I'll, of in Japan after the last big earthquake where so many people passed away. This man had built a garden, and in his garden he had put a phone booth. And he started himself, he had lost a family member, and then he started inviting people to come and make phone calls to their missing, lost relative person. And I like to think that those people showed up there to hear those phone calls from their loved ones. And that's the kind of thing where it was remote. It wasn't in the place where the person died, but it was a portal through which they could come and commune with their loved ones before they move forward.
Yeah. I think that's a beautiful thing.
I thought it's stunning. I've had that happened at Ghost Ship too. They put a phone booth outside a Ghost Ship when.
Oh, okay. After that.
Yeah. So I think that's similar to what I kind of do when we're getting a little bit further into November. Do the circle, do the pathways.
Yeah.
And it's just to be a beacon, in a way, for any spirits passing by. I live with a ghost. It's an old man. Just saying.
Is that your cat?
No, it's not my cat, okay? I knew you were thinking that. No. That would have been the last cat anyway if I was.
I know, that's what I'm saying. He's coming back going, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
He sounds right like that. "What are you doing?"
That's probably what Caspian sounds like. Yeah.
I like that. Maybe he followed you here tonight. Maybe that's what you saw behind you. I don't know. So we've been running about 46 minutes here, and I know we said we were going to kind of keep it around this time. So I'm going to start going to toward our ending stuff. But I like having these conversations, and I think at some point we might have to expand these a little bit longer just so we can get deeper in depth. But right now we're going to talk about some upcoming stuff.
Yes.
Right. Obviously, Samhain and Halloween at the end of this month. That is when the veil is the thinnest. That is when that is the final. If you celebrate any European traditions, that is the final harvest. And here in America, it is the third. There are 3 harvest rituals. We have Lunasa, Mabon, and the final is Samhain. And then we go directly into that after October 31st. We go November 1st and 2nd into the Day of the Dead. So we have a lot of spirit work that's going on. We have a lot of traditions that I'll be doing my own Sabbath series podcast for Samhain on there. And we'll talk about things like, why we had jack-o'-lanterns, why people wore masks.
Cool.
Why these traditions that we have now turned into frivolity, and now this Halloween has become a holiday for, kids and for fun and for kind of, wild nights. But we'll look at the traditions behind that because there were very real reasons that we did all these things. Why did we put a candle in a jack-o'-lantern originally? It was to ward off evil spirits. Why did we wear masks? Originally, it was so that when the evil spirits or the demons passed through, so that they couldn't see who you were and couldn't follow you home. Like there are a multitude of reasons why we have a lot of the traditions that have become, the fun parts of Halloween now. So when I do that Sabbath series podcast, I will, as usual, talk about food because it's my favorite thing and some of the things that we cook there. But we'll talk about the correspondences for also your altar. I will throw in some correspondences for if you want to do an ancestor altar or an ofrenda. I may be doing also a video for that, much like I did for the Mabon Gratitude altar that we'll put on the TikTok. The TikTok, that's how I say it, the TikTok. Also, at the end of this month, the last Saturday in October, I will be having a salon-style event at my home where we'll have some witchy discussion. We'll be making a few crafts, and it'll give people an opportunity to see some of this season's products for the shop.
Right on.
Yeah, so I have a full few weeks coming up for me here.
Yes.
Are we doing anything for besides coming to my house for a Halloween party?
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah,
coming for the salon and for the Halloween party.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that you work in. Is it actually the oldest bar in Alameda County?
It is the oldest continually operating bar on the West Coast, but it is the oldest bar in Oakland and about the second oldest in the state of California.
Yeah, and you actually have a lot of memorabilia.
Yeah.
Throughout the bar. Do you have any spirits in the bar at all?
No, the place is too small.
It's too small?
It's too small to have a ghost.
Yeah. And unless that ghost is Lauren and she scares the hell out of you by dropping things on you from the ceiling. which is great. I'm 100% for that. I was living for those moments, and I was timing my trip to the restroom when Lauren was out of the bar, so I could be safe and make it back there.
I believe that there are walkabout spirits, but that's just because there's been so much time there.
Yeah. Well, Jack London Square is just rife with history.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and that bar
with Jack London as well.
Yeah. And just looking at it, some of the things that are up on the walls, all the memorabilia, all the like there's caps, there's signs, I love the gas lights.
Yeah.
I didn't think that those really worked.
Yep, there's one of two places in the entire state that it's legal.
Yeah.
To have gas lighting.
You would think that they had a ghost. They should have a ghost.
Yeah.
We could summon a ghost.
Jack London said, if I come back in the afterlife, nobody will be more surprised than me. So I think he opted out of becoming a spirit at all.
Yeah, fair enough. I think Martuni's still has a ghost. Well, I know that, I believe, I won't say that I know, I believe the spirit of one of the former owners comes to mess around with us sometimes.
Yes, I would get that.
Yeah. I know you had a weird experience with some chairs there once. Didn't you tell me, or who told me that they came in and there was a bunch of chairs piled on each other? Somebody told me that. And there have been times when I've been there on my own, and most of the time I'm totally fine there, but there will be the odd occasion where the hair on the back of my neck will stand up. And I will definitely feel like there is someone there watching me. Mm-hmm. And it's not a feeling that I get usually when I'm there. So when I do feel it, I am very aware, and I'm kind of like, all right, I'm kind of busy right now.
Yeah.
I'm not in a place where I can deal with you.
Yeah.
That's actually the second workplace where I've seen spirits. So years ago when I worked for Victoria's Secret, I'll finish this and then we'll get to our closing here. But I worked for Victoria's Secret in Tanforan Mall in San Bruno, California, and that mall space used to be a racetrack. It used to be an internment camp for the Japanese during World War II, I think. Mm-hmm. And there were, even under the best of conditions, people will die in those places. And I remember when I was working for Victoria's Secret, I showed up one day early, and I'd gone in by myself, and I was going to do payroll. And I remember walking through the store, and we had two sides of the store. And I walked through the beauty past the cash registers, past one of the rooms to where our back room and our office was. On the other side of the store, it had our pink section, two bra rooms, and then the fitting rooms. But we had, open partitions so that you could kind of cross into the other rooms from one side to the other. So I'm walking through and I'm making a beeline to the back, and out of the corner of my eye, I see a woman dressed in black with dark hair walk from our fitting room toward the front of the store. I thought it was one of the other sales leads, Maria, who wasn't scheduled to work for another few hours, but, I thought maybe she got her schedule mixed up. And as I'm going to walk into the back, I see this person, and I kind of turn around, and I go, and I was like, Maria, is that you? You're not scheduled to work yet. And I searched the whole store, and no one else was there. Mm-hmm. But I for sure saw this person, and obviously it was a spirit. But I remember there was that. And then on another occasion when I came in, I would hear footsteps. Like it would sound like high-heeled shoes and my name. And when I was doing it, again, another day when I was doing payroll, I had to stop going in there and doing payroll, right? By myself. And I heard what I thought was someone walking in and saying my name. And I was like, yeah, I'm in the office. And I was like, hello. And I went and searched the entire store, and there was no one there. So those were my fun experiences. And then I'd heard a story from some security guards about a little girl that was on camera, that they thought she was lost and didn't have her parents, and they went to go find her. And you literally see her, I guess the person that was monitoring the cameras saw her on the camera, saw on the other camera the guards walking to where the corner was. They turned the corner. She disappeared on camera and they come into view. And they had no idea whose child it was supposed to be. But so some interesting work ghost stories. So I wanna before we close out, I just want to thank everybody for listening today. I want to thank you for coming and hanging out and doing this podcast. Is there anything that you can think of before we close out?
Nah, I'm a font of nothing at the moment.
We might have to start doing this earlier in the day when we're more awake. I don't know. I totally want to thank everybody for listening to us today. Maybe when we get to the episode 3, we'll be a little bit more polished and know what the hell we're talking about. And please join us for next month. Next month we are I wrote this down, so I have it together here. Next year we are going to sidetrack from witchy stuff to the paranormal, and we're going to share some more. Oh, I should have shared these stories next month for the spirit talk.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? I'll tell them again. And I'll come up with some more little fun spirit stories that I have. I want to thank everybody for listening. I hope you enjoyed listening to some of our funny stuff here. We will definitely, as the episodes go on, get more and more in depth in our different experiences, some of the specific things we do for practices, and just a whole lot of other weird stuff. I recently got a few books about spooky places around the country. So maybe we'll start planning another road trip to go do some spooky things. We
can talk about our last trip.
Oh, we could definitely talk about that.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll, because we have a ghost town that we went to go visit when we were there.
Yep.
So that would be part of our paranormal thing. So again, thanks for listening. If you like what you hear, follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. If you would like to support us, we have a Patreon. Actually, it's the What in the Metaphysical. I don't know what I'm saying today. What in the Mystical Hell podcast is a part of the Golden Apple Metaphysical Patreon. Again, Golden Apple is my shop that I run with author Diana Rachel. And the Patreon for the shop is, our ultimate goal there is to help us at some point to get a brick and mortar, which we would love. A brick and mortar, we would be able to do things like, hold more workshops. We'd be able to, just really have a base for community. Love to have events there. I think that would be really fun. If you are interested in seeing what we have to offer, we do have some free trials that you can do. We have some posts that you can look at just being part of the public and not being a member. Or we do, of course, have the tiers where you can support us. You can find us on Patreon, www.patreon.com/Golden Apple Metaphysical. If you have any questions, comments, if you have any practices that you would like to share around ancestor work, this time of year, daily practices that you do, please email us at whatinthemysticalhell@gmail.com. You can find any other links that we have in the program notes. And maybe we'll have some little podcast exclusives on that Patreon. But again, we would love to just thank you for listening and spending a little bit of your time with us. Is there anything you want to say to the people before we sign off?
Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to sharing more stories and more experiences with all of you.
Yeah. All right. This has been another episode of What in the Mystical Hell podcast, where we can practice without being perfect, because God knows neither one of us are perfect. And where when things go bump in the night, we know how to bump back. Take care. We'll see you next month.